Hey guys, this is Zach Cummings, UFC welterweight, middleweight, and light heavyweight. Check out Hung Overhand Right.
This is Hung Overhand Right, and this is the Post-UFC 300 rankings rundown. That's Chad. I'm Jonathan, and welcome in. We're going to break down these fights quickly and then talk about how they affected the rankings. Chad, what do you think about that?
Lots of movement, man. I mean, crazy, just absolute insane card. Definitely lived up to the hype, in my opinion, from start to finish. Sure, there might have been maybe one, that we could probably think that was kind of a snoozer, but
yeah.
But really, I mean, they were all good fights. They had good moments at least in every single fight,
and all of them.
Yeah,
all of them very important too. I mean, like everyone was ranked basically. I mean, maybe aside from Cody and Jim, and I mean Aljo technically, but like and Bo Nickal and Brundage. Other than that, everybody ranked. Everybody has something to do with the top 10 of that division, and so we're gonna get into it. You ready?
Oh yeah.
All right, Deiveson, Figueiredo, Cody Garbrandt. Fig played around with him on the feet in the first round, and then second round was like, all right, it's time to put you on your back and submit you.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, Cody looked good in the first round. I did see some things. Cody said he was dealing with vertigo throughout the whole fight, and then especially he's been dealing with vertigo almost his entire fight career, and it's been getting pretty bad lately. Probably doesn't help, with the knockout losses and all that. But I'm not a doctor, but it sucks to hear. But he looked good the first round, and you let a guy like Fig get your back. It's usually night time. So
yeah, I think although Cody lost, and it would have been a big, obviously he would have beat the number 8 guy. It would have been huge for him, but I still think this is actually like okay considering the way it happened. I mean, he didn't get knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't really, I mean, yeah, he kind of got worked on the ground, but it wasn't like, I don't come out of it thinking like, man, Cody just got completely dominated and outclassed.
Yeah. No, he hung in there with him. Fig's just an assassin, on the ground, and he's a big, strong guy, and he got a hold of Cody's neck, and that's not really something Cody's known for. He's a pretty decent wrestler and grappler, but he's known for his hands, But he did all right first round, held it together, did all right, like you said, not getting starched or knocked out or anything like that. So I don't know. I don't think it really is a detrimental loss for Cody. I think he's still fairly young. Hopefully he gets this vertigo stuff that he's talking about. And I know you usually don't like hearing excuses or anything like come out from that, but when it's some serious medical stuff, vertigo can be, pretty gnarly.
Yeah, that does not sound like it would help you in a fight against number 8 guy in the world.
No, you got something to strangle you, it's probably not good.
Yeah, so Fig, I mean, like we said, number 8, moves up 2 spots, jumps, looks like Song Yadong and Rob Font.
Mm-hmm.
Although, well, let's see. He's number 6 now. Oh, okay. Aljo's out of the rankings.
Yeah.
So I think he just jumped Song Yadong. Song Yadong was 7. Fig jumped to 6. And like I said off air, this whole division moved. I mean, Aljo's out of the rankings now. And so everyone goes up 1. Fig goes up 2 to 6. Henry, Cheeto, Jan, Sandhagen, Merab, Sean ahead of him. I mean, he called for a title shot. I think that may be tough with Merab waiting in line and Corey Sandhagen waiting in line. But I think maybe Fig and like Peter Yan
Yeah,
might be
that'd be
cool.
a fun one. I
Yeah.
think that'd be a pretty good one. But Piotr Jan, I don't know if he was wanting. Everybody's wanting a title fight, of course, and
Yeah.
Jan thinks he won the first one against O'Malley and all that. So, I mean, I can understand why he's doing that. But he came out and beat Song Yadong and had a good fight against him. Looked good. Came back looking like his old self. Um, I think that would be fun. Maybe throw
I mean, Cheeto's in
Cheeto and
there
Fig.
too.
Yeah, Cheeto and Fig maybe. And
Yeah.
then if he goes out there and beats the hell out of Cheeto, then you could start calling for a title.
Yeah. I think I personally, just from like sheerly what the matchup would look like, I want to see him and Jan. I mean,
Yeah,
both can grapple, both bang on the feet. Like, I just think stylistically that'd be a lot of fun. Not that
yeah,
Cheeto wouldn't be, but and
yeah. I
also
think
go ahead.
Jan probably has the upper hand in probably hands. The striking aspect. But he's pretty damn good at his grappling. His wrestling defense is pretty good. I mean, he held off Aljo for an entire 5-round fight. That's a tall task in and of itself. So now Fig getting in there, that's another big guy that he'd be going against. He'd definitely be the smaller dude. Um, and Fig can get touched. He's shown he can get touched in his Moreno fights and get hurt. So Jan might be able to do that. I would think Fig's going to be trying to backpack him as well.
Yeah.
But that'd be a fun one stylistically for sure.
Yeah, on the Cody front, obviously not ranked, goes to not ranked. I don't have, obviously we're just looking at the top 15, but I think you may need to jump him back down to the Brian Kelleher's of the world. I mean, I don't see how. I mean, I guess he did lose to number 8, so maybe like a Kyler Phillips at 10 or Mario Batista at 12. I guess Batista. Well, yeah, Batista was supposed to fight him, wasn't he?
I think you're right on that.
And
Yeah.
Blackshear came in short notice, so maybe you set that up and you try to build Batista off Cody. I mean, obviously Cody fans aren't going to like that, but that's kind of how they do things.
Yeah, I think Cody's just a gamer too. He'll just fight people, and he definitely wants to get back to glory. So it just sucks again with the vertigo and all that shit. That sucks for him because as being a big fan of him, it sucks to hear that.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. Bobby, I think Jim obviously he hits hard and he has good fundamental boxing. No grappling in this fight, which is odd, but
Yeah,
I think Jim was just a little too rudimentary with his boxing for Bobby. Bobby's like, I know what this looks like. I know what you're doing here, and just kind of touched him up pretty bad.
Yeah, I think really would change, and it would change anybody. That whole $300,000 bonus. I think that changed everything, and you'll see it in another fight we talk about here later. It changes the outcome really, like of their mindset of trying to make it a spectacular fight instead of doing what got them to the dance in the first place and what makes them stars in the first place. They think they try to do too much or too little because they're too afraid of becoming, someone's highlight because they're going to get $300,000. I mean, it's just I like that the fighters are getting paid because we all want them to get paid, but announcing something like that is. I wish they would have done it like afterwards, been like, "Hey, we upped it to $300,000,"
Yeah,
instead of saying it there, because it does. You could see it. It changed the mentality a little bit. It made them. It makes them. In retrospect, it can make them more hungry to try and put stand and bang and do something like that. But also, it also make them a little bit more timid. Where I thought that Jim just was like, I'm trying to get $300,000 out here, on top of my purse, and it just didn't make sense. He didn't want to grapple, do nothing, and Bobby. I mean, he turned into Bobby, turning him into a punching bag. It was just, and he got beat up for it. And he said Jim did come out and say he broke his hand in the first round sometime, but he broke
Wouldn't
his
you
toe as well. So I
wouldn't
mean,
you
it
think
just
he would want to grapple more after breaking his
yeah.
hand?
I guess I don't know. I've never broken my hand. I'm sure it sucks, but I figured it would hurt worse throwing punches than trying to just grab someone. But I don't know. It just seemed a little off. It couldn't make sense. I know we said it several times. Why isn't he trying to grapple or do anything?
It was definitely it had to be the bonus. I mean, also obviously him being on 100, 200, and 300. I think
Yeah.
he's not making a title run. Like he knows
No.
that. So
Mhm.
it was just go out there and go to war. For all of Bobby's troubles and having a good performance, he goes down a spot to 15
Yeah.
because somebody from Hawaii that we'll talk about later
Yeah.
jumped a bunch of people. So yeah, Bobby Green down one spot. So that's probably not a good feeling.
Nah, probably didn't feel that good. I mean, Bobby looked good. Bobby looked like Bobby out there, dude. Talking shit and land hits. So I mean, he was doing pretty much what he wanted to Jim. He got hit a couple times by Jim when Jim would throw something heavy, but most of the time Bobby was just at control, keeping him at distance, popping him, and doing what he wanted.
I loved Bobby's call out. Called out Patty Pimblett.
Yeah.
I mean, he said, this is what you get for saying my name. So I guess I don't remember this specifically, but apparently Patty called him out or said something about him at some point.
Yeah, I don't remember the whole dynamic between them either.
But he said I'll go to your backyard in June and whoop your ass or something like that. So I'm like, I'm not a big Patty fan. So
yeah,
I'm like, let's do that.
yeah, I think it'd be a cool fight, fun fight. Definitely be a test.
Patty's not ranked, and Bobby is. So
I think it'd be a good test for Patty too, to see. Hey, let's see if you can get by this guy. This guy's a little bit older, but this guy can fuck people up.
And not Bobby's not known for his grappling. So I mean, it's like stylistically on paper should be a good matchup for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see the UFC doing that.
Yeah, that would be a fun one.
Yeah, count me in on that one. But and especially going into enemy territory against the hometown guy, like who else would you want to do that?
For sure. Yeah.
Bobby Green's the guy.
Yeah, you send a psycho like Bobby in there, and he's gonna thrive.
Somebody might stab his ass over there. Honestly. All right, Jessica Andrade, Marina Rodriguez. Good fight. I mean, split decision. I thought they got it right here with the judges, in my opinion.
Yeah. There for a while, I mean, we thought Andrade was going to put Marina down and just absolutely end it. I mean, she was hurt several times, so.
I still like Marina a lot, and she did well, but it was it's just most people that when they're coming forward and they're eating these straight punches down the pipe, they're going to stop coming forward. Andrade did not stop, and that was the difference.
Yeah, Andrade made it dirty, and she knew she had to. Otherwise, Marina's going to stay on the outside and pick her apart. Andrade just came in with those, heaping hooks and just, made it disgusting and started, I mean, hurting Marina pretty bad. I mean, to the point of where I thought it was going to be stopped, like, really soon. But Marina, she's a tough old gal, just kept coming and kept going. But, yeah, they got it right. Andrade, she's hanging around. She could go fuck around and find herself in a title fight.
Yeah, no movement on either of them in the rankings, which makes sense. I mean, Andrade above her is Lemos, Yan, and Tatiana. Probably, I mean, maybe you could make an argument that she should pass Lemos, and then below Marina is all people who have lost. I mean, Dern, Rebus, Pinheiro, Lupi. So Andrade still at 4, Marina still at 6. I think you go. I mean, maybe. Well, I guess she already fought Yan Jianan. Maybe Andrade, Lemos because they're 3-4.
Could do that because I mean, obviously, Weili Zhang is going to fight Tatiana. That's next.
Yep.
So,
Or Andrade Verna. Crazy Eyes just won not too long ago, so
true. That'd be a good one.
she'd be fighting down again, but
Yeah, that's where she's kind of at. She's at the mercy of being the gatekeeper, but also if they got no one left, if they may send her back up for another title shot.
mm-hmm.
But especially if like Tatiana loses, or maybe if she even wins, I don't know. Do they give that rematch right back to Weili Zhang, especially if she gets starched, just gets taken down and choked real fast?
Probably not.
Yeah, it just really depends.
Yeah. All right, next one. Did not go the way any of the people at Hungover Hand Right thought it was going to go. Renato Moicano, second round ground and pound win over Jalen Turner. Is for my money. There's nobody in the UFC right now has better post fight interviews.
Yeah. No, the guy's he's something, man. He's funny. He's super smart, dude.
Yeah.
And he really loves America. He's gaining lots of fans because of that. And
The First Amendment, he loves that.
Yep, and he loves money. So,
Yeah.
like the rest of us. So, no, he's funny, man. And credit to him having a chin and taking that first punch in the first round, and it still kills me that Jalin did that.
What
And
was he
that's it.
doing?
Chalks it up to another bonus thing. He wanted a walk-off KO, and I bet you that was in his head. If I can drop this guy, I can walk off KO. And I don't know. I mean, sure, he hit him flush, and he dropped back, but he wasn't out cold. He's instantly stood up, and he's looking at Jalin, and Jalin looks at Mark Goddard or whoever it was and says, "Why didn't you stop it?" I'm like, "Well, he's ready to fight." He look at him. He stood right back up. Be different if he just laid on the ground and was still cross-eyed,
It wasn't. It was not a Mark Hunt faceplant walk off. Not even close.
No. It's so frustrating because Jalin had him on the ropes. Sure, it was at the end of the round, and it's 10 seconds left, but you got to jump on him and pound on his head and finish the fight. And this was so frustrating because Jalin had that fight, and we were such big Jalin fans, along with Moicano. But Moicano came back and made him pay and finished the fight, and it sucks for Jalin, but definitely Moicano gained a ton of fans that night too.
Oh yeah, I feel like if Jalin was not, and this isn't me making excuses, but if he was not in this division, he would be. I would say probably top 5 in most other divisions because this division is a bunch of grapplers. I mean, it's Islam, Tsarukyan, Charles, Gamrot, Dariush, Moicano, like Saint Denis, all these. Like, I mean, there's obviously strikers in this division as well, but a lot of grapple heavy guys that can obviously do that to him. We've seen it a couple times now.
It's frustrating, and some of these fights where he's even with grapplers, he's hung in there. He's done well. Like he's hurt him. He's just hasn't been able to get over that hump and finish him, and it sucks, So I hope he's going to bounce back, and he's probably biting himself in the ass for that. Just he's probably thinking like, why did I do that? Because it wasn't like it was questionable. He should have stopped it. Moicano was right back at it, ready to go. Sure, he was hurt, but it wasn't a walk-off worthy. And I don't know, like I've never just punched somebody to where I know, like if it's like a no doubt feeling, like hitting a home run that a ball's going out. But I don't know if that's something you feel when you punch someone. Usually it's just you watch him and the way he dropped. And the way I'm thinking is just it had to do with the bonus in the back of his head was I'm trying to put on a show, and it backfired.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that with what he's did to Bobby Green last time out, like he's obviously was feeling himself and confident in his power as he should be.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he kind of dropped the ball with that. Moicano up 3 spots from 13 to 10. Jalen Turner down 2 to 12. Moicano, I don't believe he actually said someone's name to fight, but I mean, I'm thinking like a Fazeev at 8 or like a Dariush at 6.
Yeah, you can put him there, or yeah, I mean, Gamrot's probably a little too high, maybe, because Gamrot's looking to go fight for a belt or something like that. Maybe not take that risk, but
Yeah.
yeah, you'd see him come back and fight Fazeev. Fazeev's come back off that injury and everything, so
Yeah, I mean, I just know they're not going to give him Chandler at 7, obviously, and they're not going to give him Max at 9. But he got an opportunity to fight up this fight, and although he is kind of becoming somewhat of a star, I don't know if I see the UFC like being like, hey, let's really push him to like the top 5 right now. Especially with his style. I mean, I think that weight class has enough star power that they're going to kind of move him slow.
yeah, and I mean also the Conor McGregor Chandler fight that happens, and say McGregor comes out and beats Chandler, that puts a whole mix into things. So who knows what's going to happen there?
Yeah.
And obviously Poirier fighting Islam in June as well. So that being announced, who knows what's going to happen with that? Poirier gets another shot, and it's crazy what's going to happen. Obviously Tsarukyan beating Oliveira. I mean, that was a crazy fun fight. Him withstanding all that shit that Charles had him in. It hit almost in every kind of sub you could think of. And then putting himself obviously in contention for a title shot, for a rematch. If Islam were to win, he'd probably be next. But we've seen that crazy stuff like I think Dylan has mentioned before. If Conor wins, that's a title shot probably going to happen.
As if we need this division to be more jammed up. Conor's going to come back, and I mean,
exactly.
it's always, especially you got Khabib's at the top and Islam's at the top, and it's like, all right, so we're fighting once a year for the belt, and everyone's just waiting in line.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way it has been for a very long time, and the way it is obviously going to continue to be until hopefully somebody beats Islam. Anyways, all right. Probably like the most awesome person on the planet right now, Diego Lopes, knocks out Sodiq Yusuff. I mean, is it possible for someone to not like love this guy?
I don't see how you could hate this guy because I'm in love with him. I think he's awesome. That kid can stand and bang and knock you out, and also put you to sleep at any given moment. And what he did to a guy like Yusuff, that guy is a banger. Like we've seen him crack people and do his thing. And Diego came out and put on a show. That was, I mean, he's a star, natural born star. The guy's got it. I think we went over this. He's fairly young.
29.
Yeah, so I mean, I think they recognize, okay, this kid, we can move him up. And I think he talked about maybe a rematch with Evloev.
I hate that.
Yeah, I mean, I get it in the sense of he lost to him, and it was a week notice, 6-day notice, or something like that. And he made it a close fight. But I don't know. I just like Diego so much. But it could, if he goes and against him, and Evloev actually has time to prepare for him, and puts an ending to him, like like an actual statement win against them, where he did what he was supposed to do the first time, um, then that could kind of halt a hype train that we kind of got going right now.
Yeah. Well, I just don't. I feel like the UFC, they're going to look at that and say, okay, well, first of all, Evloev, he doesn't really like to fight either. He's kind of Islam Khabib-esque, but
Mm-hmm.
they're going to look at him and be like, okay, this guy stylistically is a tough fight for Diego, even on a full camp, and they typically don't really like doing rematches unless it's like a long-term champ or Johnny Walker getting into it with Ankalaev after a no contest. They don't really like doing the rematches. And if I'm Evloev's camp, I'm like, I don't really want to do that because we're 5 right now. I think they're 5. Yeah, Evloev's 5. Diego's 14. We barely beat him when he had no training camp. Like, think of how we're gonna have to what we're gonna have to do to beat him now. It's gonna be that much tougher. So
For sure.
I don't like it at all. I mean, and Diego hasn't fought anybody in the top 15 aside from Evloev and Sodiq. Diego's 14 now. Sodiq goes down to 15. And what I mentioned about Jalen Turner being in a really tough weight class for his style, I feel like Diego Lopes is in a perfect weight class for him right now. I mean,
Oh yeah,
guys that
definitely.
stylistically, I mean, he should beat like Ige, but the guys are right above him. Ige, Barboza, Bryce, maybe a little more difficult, although I like Diego's striking.
Mm-hmm.
Giga Chikadze, Calvin Cater, Emmett at 7. I mean, I feel like all these fights stylistically would really favor Diego Lopes.
Oh yeah, obviously, like the Emmett fight would be a scary one, with Emmett's power. But you know, I think Diego could hang in there and be able to, you know, I think he would probably go to grappling with Emmett instead of striking with him, just because of that power, because he's going to have the upper hand on the ground. Um, I think let's see another one. I think him and Bryce would be a fun matchup.
Yep.
That would be a fun one to watch. To watch them kind of tangle. Honestly, Diego. I think probably has better striking than Bryce, but Bryce is good with the grappling and so is Diego. So that I think that one would probably be next, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, Diego just he's been getting it done in different ways as far as knockout, submission, but it's kind of always the same game plan for him. It's just like ambush everybody, like from the bell, just get after him early. And a lot of old dudes in this weight class that I feel like would struggle with that pace. Now, 5 rounds, if someone can, you know, shut that down or at least avoid getting finished in the first couple rounds, maybe we see 4th, 5th round, Diego's have a little more trouble just because he puts that ridiculous pace on people. But yeah, I don't know. I really like his chances against a lot of this division right now.
Yeah, he's definitely on his way up for sure. He's on the move.
And the UFC definitely loves him. They're
Mm-hmm.
they're excited about this.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Kayla Harrison just pretty much dominates Holly Holm. I mean, takes her down. Actually, well, although Holly did kind of sweep her there for a second, but just out muscles her, hits her with elbows, submits her. This girl is going to be the champ in her
Yeah,
next fight.
yeah, she's the future champ of this division. Obviously, her striking's probably not up to par with some of these folks. I mean, really, not even. Her striking's definitely not better than Holly's, but she's just gonna go and, I mean, just absolutely manhandle everyone. She's just a freak of nature. She's super strong. She's jacked. She obviously is an Olympic champion at judo, And we saw that, honestly, the whole sweep, the one sweep thing where Holly flipped her on that hip toss. I think it was she didn't realize how light Holly was and spun around too hard. I
Yeah.
think it was more of that than really Holly doing any of that. And I'm halfway playing, halfway not. But like you said, just dominated. I mean, it just looked. Holly didn't really have an answer for anything.
Yeah. I mean, Kayla moves to 4 from not ranked, obviously. Holly down to 6 from 5. I mean, I think Kayla Harrison smashes Myra Bueno Silva, Caitlin Vieira, Juliana Pena, and Raquel Pennington in the same night. And
Probably.
those are the 4 people ranked ahead of her. So, like, I would love. I mean, although they're probably going to give her Raquel next, I would love to see them give her Juliana Pena.
Oh yeah,
and just smash her face in.
Yep.
But
That'd be nice.
It's probably Raquel.
Yeah. Well, you saw Amanda Nunes posted that video of her like, oh, what are you saying? After she was saying, I don't care. Kayla was saying, I don't care if it's Amanda, Juliana, Raquel, I'm coming for the belt.
Yeah.
And Amanda, that'd be kind of cool to have Amanda come back out, out of retirement and see how that goes. Because Amanda's a bigger girl, bigger in stature.
Oh yeah.
To kind of stand up to it. I also think Juliana is too a little bit. Just like how tall they are. I'm not talking about as like jacked they are, but their size.
Yeah.
I think their size and that Myra Buena Silva, she's kind of a bigger chick too. But against Raquel, I think Kayla snaps her in half.
The physical strength, I mean, like height and shit, that's one thing, but like the physical strength is just going to be on a different level.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nuts. She's awesome. I'm a big fan.
I like her.
I was watching her in the Olympics. I thought she was great then, and she's going to be the champ soon.
She moves up to 13 in the women's pound for pound rankings. Passes Irene Aldana and Ketlin Vieira. Obviously, if what we're saying is correct, she will not be at 13 pound for pound for long, but that's where she's at now. All right. Aljamain Sterling, Calvin Kattar. This was the one real stinker of the night. Calvin he had no answer for the wrestling at all.
No, and it sucks. He's coming off that injury and everything, but Aljo came and did what Aljo does, and that's shoot. And the whole fight, he's getting booed. Aljo does what he does, and shoots 100 billion times, and got booed the entire fight. And then the most exciting part of the fight is when he kind of suplexed them a little bit, or tried to power bomb him, I should say. Showed his strength. I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't complete domination of just grappling and holding him down and stuff, and going to finish and everything. But I think he was the only fighter who didn't get a post game interview or post fight interview.
They didn't interview him?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I was reading around, that he didn't even get an interview.
Man,
and I don't know if that was a time constraint, but it's kind of crazy that it was just a time constraint thing, and everybody else got one except for him. Or, I don't know. I don't think the UFC really likes his style. It's just he's not a damage guy. He's a backpack you, and I'm going to try and choke you out guy. And a lot of times, he's not even getting your back to choke you out. He's just holding you down. And it's frustrating. Obviously Kattar's had great takedown defense. Aljo's a big dude, strong dude. Kattar's coming off a year layoff. It's a tough task for Kattar to do, but he's a gamer. I think he's going to fight or whatever. And, props to Aljo. You can't stop it. You can't stop it. So he did his thing and he got the dub.
Yeah. Yeah, not exciting. I mean, obviously, Kattar was 8. Aljo was not ranked at featherweight, so Aljo takes the 8 spot. Calvin only down 1 to 9. Yeah, it's just this is another one where I don't really. Yeah, Aljo's a former champ, but I don't think the UFC is going to be super excited to shove him in a title fight anytime soon.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, we all know what the next title fight for this division is going to be. I mean,
Yeah,
the rematch between Volk and Taporia. I know that's in talks, but after the next fight, one of the next fights we're going to talk about after that, what happened there? Holy shit!
yeah. I mean, I
That might.
think Aljo. I think he was talking about Ortega, which I don't mind, but Ortega just beat Yair, who's number 4. So why would he go down to number 8 and fight Aljo? That doesn't really make sense for him to do. But I don't know. Maybe they give Aljo Movsar Evloev, who we've been talking about, because that's another wrestle heavy guy that maybe could match that.
Mm-hmm. That one might be a fun one to watch. It's kind of a battle of the guys we don't really like, or I'm not a huge fans of. So
Yeah,
Evloev has shown. I mean, he can do some damage and stuff, and Aljo has the capability as well, but they just don't normally do that. That's just not their style. Which to each their own.
yeah, yeah. I mean, for Calvin, it's time to fight down. I mean, he's number 9. You got Giga, Bryce, Edson. I don't think he's fought Edson. Ige, Lopez. They go Lopez and Calvin now.
That
I
could be a
mean,
fun one.
basically everybody below him. Well, he did fight Giga actually. So aside from Giga, everybody below him, he's never fought. So I think, yeah, former champ, but it just wasn't competitive. So I think you gotta fight down now.
Yeah.
But now let's move to the performance of the night. But the main prelim here, Jiri Prochazka, Alexander Rakic. I really, and I'm biased in this one. I do love Jiri, but I like Rakic more. But I feel like basically everybody in this division, I'd probably feel comfortable saying that, would not have been standing anymore if they got hit with what Jiri got hit with.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of guys that get hit like that and keep going. Yuri's just an absolute psychopath, and I don't know. I think that's Rakic is a gamer. I know I've said that a bunch, but I think that coming off the layoff that he was on, that's a tough task to ask for him. And they put on a hell of a fight, fun as hell to watch. It was just, I think Jiri being active and everything like that helped a lot. But and then Yuri's just an animal, He's a samurai assassin, crazy fuck, and just keeps coming no matter what he gets hit with, unless it's Alex Pereira's left hook. So it's crazy to see it. I mean, the way he got hit by Rakic, it makes you think of what kind of power Pereira has,
Yeah.
And it's kind of wild to think about. But Rakic, I'm a big fan of Rakic, just like you. I thought I said he was going to be champ by the end of the year. And I know it's tough. Now, winning this, if he won this fight, we'd be right on track to maybe fighting for the belt. But I just think that was a tough task for him to come back. And it sucks when guys get injured and when they come back, they don't want to lose their stature. So they're kind of handcuffed when the UFC throws them a fight. They're like, hey, you've been off. You got to come here because we're trying to move this division along. It seems like so. It's frustrating, but I don't think he's going anywhere. He's gonna come right back into it. And I think he's gonna get back in the swing of things and pick it up the next fight.
I don't think he lost a whole lot of stock. And I mean, I mentioned this on the previous show with the layoff. I mean, Jiri had a layoff, came back, got knocked out. So he kind of officially back in the swing of things after the Pereira fight. And he jumps right back in there against a guy who's had a year and 10-month layoff. And it's just like you were kind of saying, really not a good spot for Rakic fighting the guy who's been in there now twice after you haven't been in there in 2 years. So I just think I don't although he got finished, I don't think Rakic lost a lot of stock there. In fact, he didn't move in the rankings at all. Jiri up 1 to number 1. He passes Ankalaev, which is interesting. But I guess we'll get to this when we get to Pereira, but it is kind of hard to picture them running that back. So,
Yeah.
but we can save that probably. That'd probably be better for later. But Rakic, I mean, number 5, I think Jan at number 4 makes sense. Maybe even Jamal Hill at number 3. Like I said, I don't know if the UFC's like really like, well, now that you lost a Jiri, you're fighting down. Like I think they'll be willing to put him back in there with a guy a spot or two ahead of him. So, but let's move on to the main card. Two of the, I think what I say, 3 unranked fighters on this card. 2 of the 4. Bo Nickal, Cody Brundage. Bo Nickal submits him second round, but he was not happy with his performance.
Yeah, I think he struggled a little bit. Maybe it was just a little off with timing, maybe, and getting his takedowns, because he probably had a little bit more respect for Cody Brundage, I think, and his power. He knew it was kind of a step up from what he had been fighting. Because I mean, Brundage can crack, and he's a fairly decent wrestler. So I think it was just a little bit harder. And he realized, oh shit, okay, I got to work a little bit harder now. And he got the job done. Still, did what he was supposed to do. It wasn't necessarily the most spectacular fight or anything like that. He just did what Bo Nickal, everybody thought Bo Nickal should do, and get him out of there.
Yeah, Bo said, I think he called out Fluffy Hernandez, and I thought there was one other one, but I could be wrong. But I know he said Fluffy Hernandez, who's number 12. I think that makes sense. I mean, obviously neither of these guys are ranked after this, but Chris Curtis 15, Kyle Baralho 14, Paul Craig 13, Fluffy Hernandez 12, and then Kamzat 11. I don't think they're doing that. So really any of those 4 names, Paul Craig, Chris Curtis, I mean, I don't know if they would want to do him and Chris Curtis just because Chris is a good boxer, but
yeah,
I like Fluffy Hernandez and Paul Craig for him next.
Yeah, I think that would be those would be pretty fun fights.
Yeah, I think Brundage probably, I mean, for just stepping up and doing it, he earned himself another fight, but I don't know who that would even be against. I mean, it's definitely not going to be anybody close to the rankings. So, but yeah, I don't know. Bo Nickal, he's 6-0. I mean, I think he still has a chance to be really good, but they're going to do it. They're going to move him slow and do it the right way, which makes sense. But
he said he just wants to fight somebody better every time. So I don't think I think it's more of a humble way. He doesn't want to jump to. He's not calling for a title fight. I think he's well aware of where he's at right now, and he knows he's on his way up. And I think he's okay with it being a slow trickle.
Yeah. Arman Tsarukyan, Charles Oliveira. Arman wins a split decision. Again, I think the right guy got the nod here, which we don't always get to say with some of these split decisions. But, I mean, obviously, I mentioned on the previous show, like, elite grappler versus elite wrestler. I'm I'm probably going to take the elite wrestler like 9 times out of 10, and that obviously proved to be the difference here.
Yeah, and the split on that one was where I think they gave Charles all 3 rounds or something like that.
I think it was 30-27 on one card.
Yeah, that was, to me, that's still just, to me, it's like, what are we doing? Like, what fight were you watching? Like, I don't necessarily think that was a split. I'm not necessarily mad at it, but with it being a 30-27 just seems wild.
That's crazy. That's crazy. There's also a this is the next fight we'll talk about, but I saw a scorecard that one judge, I think, gave Gaethje, he gave him at least 2 rounds, maybe 3 rounds. So it's probably the same guy.
Yeah, it just it's so wild to me with some of these guys, and I know that thing came out where they're not getting paid very much, and it's all volunteer based and stuff, and I'm like, maybe we should get the volunteer pool and make it a little bit larger here, or maybe start throwing some incentives at judges to be like, hey, let's take this seriously and pay attention and know what we're looking at. Because I'm not saying that it shouldn't have been a close fight, because it was a close fight. But I think Tsarukyan definitely got the nod and deserved it.
Yeah. Yeah, Arman up 3 to number 1 now. Charles down 1 to 2. I mean, especially with Gaethje losing, I know they made Dustin official, but I guess after that, it's got to be Arman. I mean, there's just no way around it.
Yeah, has to be. But we know how Makhachev operates. You know, I don't think he wants to fight Tsarukyan again because of how the first fight went. You know, close fight. Tsarukyan's insane grappler and wrestler. So I think they both it's just a battle of the best of the best at what they do. So I was impressed with Tsarukyan. We obviously love Oliveira. But Tsarukyan, I mean, Oliveira had Tsarukyan in trouble a couple times where we thought the fight was over. And Tsarukyan shorts came off, and that probably saved him, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and then, the head and arm he had him in, or the Darce that he was getting in. We thought he went out, but he didn't. He was just trying to alleviate pressure out of it, and he got out of so many subs. And then when he got on top of Charles, he started putting some ground and pound on there and hurting him and actually getting some damage done. So I think that's why he got the nod. He did his job, and I think I'd love to see him fight Islam again. Obviously we're gonna have to wait till after Poirier. See if Poirier, pulls a billion guillotines on Islam or not. Hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully,
He's gonna try.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he did the first shot. But that will be a fun one. That's going to be a big card in Jersey, in June. So, obviously everybody would love to see Poirier get a title. That's going to be a tough task against Islam, just like it would be a tough task for anybody. But, it'd be a pretty good story if Poirier gets it. He's fought everybody, beaten a ton of names. And he's been in the game a long time. And if he gets the belt, that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, for Charles, the only person in the top 5 he hasn't fought is Mateusz Gamrot. I think since they're all going to have to wait for like 2 title fights to happen now, I think that may be the fight to make.
We're looking at.
Yeah, which sucks because although I do think I would like Charles in that fight because
I would take Charles.
Gamrot's there to be knocked out. But
yeah.
All right, BMF belt, Max Holloway, 1 second left in the 5th. After piecing him up for basically 4 rounds, maybe you give Gaethje one of the one round, but I mean, Max just like for a guy who gets hit like all the time in every fight, really didn't get hit that much in this fight.
Yeah, no, I mean, he came in with a hell of a game plan. They definitely, especially with those spinning back kicks, they just knew every time Justin was going to duck, you know, and they timed it up perfectly every time. He didn't miss with a spinning back kick at ever. The whole fight he landed every time. And I remember saying this when we were watching, I'm like, Justin seems off. Like, it was almost timid. Like, something was off, and I don't think we're going to hear. I wouldn't be surprised if there was something that went on during training camp or something, but I don't think we're going to hear it because that's just not what Justin's going to do. They gave each other respect and props to each other, so he's not going to try and diminish what Max did, because what Max did wasn't anything short of spectacular, So it was 1 second left. Arguably one of the greatest knockouts of all time. Lots of folks are saying it is the greatest knockout. I don't necessarily know if I'd put it at the greatest knockout of all time because of the stakes that were on it. It was for the BMF belt, not a real belt. It was at UFC 300, the biggest card. It's probably going to be the biggest card for the next decade. It was a hell of a knockout, one of the greatest of all time, but I don't know if it was the best. What Max did, obviously, was insane, going up a weight class, going against a guy that is known for taking people's heads off. And he goes and takes his head off in the final second after putting on, what really was almost a clinic, really. Like Gaethje couldn't really touch him at all. He when he did finally get a hold of him, he dropped him, and the UFC didn't give him that stat. That was a drop. Max even admitted to it backhandedly. He said it was a slip and kind of laughed with a smirk on his face because he got hit and dropped. I thought Gaethje would be the first person to knock Max out. And he dropped him, but the UFC didn't. He got right back up after he got dropped. It wasn't like he was stumbling and all that stuff. But he was hurt. He was hurt a little bit, enough to knock him off on his ass for a quick second. But what Max did, dude, obviously we've always had respect for Max. I've never been just an absolute super fan of Max. But that made what he did gave me more and more respect. He's a bona fide Hall of Famer. One of the greatest to ever do it. I don't know how you cannot just love the guy. I love the guy in the fact of like how he fights, how he holds himself, and he's just ready to go to war at any time. He don't care who it is, and I think he truly believes in that, and it's awesome to watch him fight. Gaethje took a big risk taking that fight, and I love that he's a gamer as well. He's down to fight whoever. And the BMF belt, sure, it's fun and all that stuff, but really doesn't hold any weight. It's a fake belt. It's not a championship belt. But Max is going to go fight for a belt. He's going to go fight Topuria. That's for sure.
Yeah,
And,
the crazy thing is they made him number 9 at lightweight.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
that's it's nuts.
Obviously the Topuria fight is right there and available for him. If Volk was still the champ, I think maybe you see Max stay at lightweight, but it's like the Ilya fight's right there. Max, well, first of all, in regards to this fight, I think the size was a huge factor. Like that Gaethje, I don't even think Gaethje expected it. Max was big.
Yeah, he looked big.
And I think versus Topuria, although it's at 145, that's going to be a factor too.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be bigger than Topuria and just a lot harder to get Topuria's hands on than a Volk or these shorter guys.
Yeah, I do think that Topuria is definitely more technical striker than Gaethje is, though.
Yes. Yeah.
He's got better hands technically. Gaethje has probably, and Topuria's got power. We've seen it. But Gaethje's got that, highlight reel. That's what he's known for, kind of power. That's just gonna. We've seen him take people's faces off, and I think Taporia is a little bit more calculated, and isn't just going to go in there swinging, big hooks and put his nose to the ground and just start wailing, But man, I've picked against Max a couple of times now, and I'm losing money.
Yeah.
I might have to go with Max on the next his next fight, but we'll see. What he did was, like I said, nothing short of spectacular. The guy's amazing fighter. It took out the air in the room when it happened. It was almost, and this is nothing to take away the fights or the other fighters' fights and all that, but it almost was like these other ones are like, man, that should have been like we felt like that was the main event.
Yeah.
But it just we were all still talking about the fight during the Weili Zhang and the Weili Zhang and Yan Jianan fight. And that was a good fight that was going on. It was just it was nuts. And but I don't know. I think I was. It made me feel happy for the sport. That's why we love the sport. And Max is awesome. And I don't think I love how they showed respect to each other. They called each other afterwards and all that stuff. I thought it was super cool.
Yeah, for sure. Gaethje down 1-3. I think what has to happen is Dustin obviously is going to fight Islam. He's going to lose. And you got to do the trilogy between Gaethje and Dustin, and then they both retire. Boom.
Okay. That'd be a crazy storyline. Obviously, I didn't expect. I know maybe you're a realist. I mean, I think a lot of people. I don't know if any kind of odds have come out against Islam and Poirier, but I'm sure it's probably
not going to happen.
Pretty heavy favorite.
And also, it's like Dustin. If he loses that, I mean, it's like
what else?
There's no way. I mean, I guess unless there's like a Conor fight or something, the trilogy there maybe, but I don't know. Gaethje doesn't really have a ton of options. I mean, is he signing up to fight Garbrandt? Or I mean, I don't know what else he does. There's Dariush at 6. I mean, do they kill Dariush again? Like, I don't know.
Maybe kind of get a get right fight, But that sucks for
Gaethje's. He's going to step away for a while. I think like he's going to take a break.
I think I would recommend that too for him.
Yeah.
But damn, it was nuts. And Gaethje, I mean, I don't know if Gaethje's going to go anywhere really. I think he's going to be doing this for a while. I think Gaethje's one of those guys that we're going to be like, damn man, hang it up. He's just one of those guys that were put on this earth to bang.
Yeah. All right, co-main, Weili Zhang, Yan Xiaonan. Weili wins a unanimous decision, put her to sleep, but they didn't stop the fight for that.
Yeah, it was wild. Yeah, she was asleep, and the bell rang. They let it go, and she's asleep for a second, stands up, and is like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah, I mean, I think Weili's she's just a better athlete than these girls, like all around. Just not only skills in MMA, but just like athleticism and just outworks people. It seems like.
Yeah. Although Xiaonan, hurt Weili, had her hurt late.
Yeah.
Had her hurt late in the last 2 rounds. Just couldn't get it done because, like you said, I think Weili is she's a specimen, man. She's a gamer. She keeps on going and just finally just started imposing her will and ended up getting the dub.
Yeah, I mean, so Yan Xiaonan down 1 spot to 2, Tatiana up 1 spot to 1. It's Tatiana. I mean, that's it. Although she was booked to fight Lemos already, I still think they're just gonna do that.
Yeah, they're like, okay, we'll just hold off. Weili, you get right, and we're gonna go you and Tatiana, and that one's gonna be a banger.
Yeah, and as far as Yan, I think fight down. I'm trying to remember. Did she fight Lemos? I know she fought Andrade.
I think she might have.
She might have fought Lemos. I mean, there's Crazy Eyes down there at 5. Maybe they do those two, or maybe they just run it back with Lemos or Andrade. Honestly, I mean, it's kind of this division's kind of you got the top really 3. I mean, Zhang, Yan, and Tatiana, and then everyone else below them has basically lost to those 3. So
yeah, they're just kind of bouncing around, and those others are just going to have to fight and lose and win against each other for a while until they're like, okay, let's try and mix this up.
Right. Yeah, I think Tatiana, I guess, is the exception to what I said. I mean, if she wins the belt, that does open up a lot of matchups for her, but it's hard to imagine Marina Rodriguez and Mackenzie Dern and Ribas having anything for her whatsoever. I mean, it's a very clear path to victory for Tatiana in all those fights. So, all right, main event: Alex Pereira, Jamahal Hill. Just really like the first big punch Pereira threw. I mean, it was he threw some jabs of the body and some low kicks, and then the first left hook he threw. And Jamahal Hill, this honestly looked to me kind of like I didn't get my timing back. And he he just basically went at the wrong time. I mean, not to say that he wouldn't have got knocked out if he fought 3 months ago, but I think it helps.
Yeah, it was, honestly, I think a lot of it has to do too. I think I picked Jamahal Hill to win by knockout, just because of Pereira's got that gigantic Brazilian head.
Yeah.
And Jamal's, I think Jamal's pretty crafty striker too. I mean, we've seen him knock some good guys out. I think that Pereira lost respect for Jamal's power because Jamal landed a couple times, and Pereira just was like, "Oh, I don't feel like you're that dangerous." And plus, you probably noticed he's a little off time because Pereira was right on the money. Even his punch was. I mean, the guy's just blessed with power. I mean, he didn't land super flush, but he was right on the money in timing coming in. But he landed like right there with the edge of his knuckles, right on the edge of his face, and Jamal stared at the back of his skull, and then proceeded to get hammer fist into oblivion. So
it really it looked like Johnny Walker. Was it Jamahal Hill that did that to him?
Yeah, Johnny Walker got knocked out.
Kind of what it looked like. He got hit and he kind of like spasmed backwards for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I mean, Pereira, what he's done in this short amount of time that he's been here, it's wild. And I've bet against this guy so many times, and I don't know what's going to happen next. They throw Uncle Ive at him. I know he's talked about maybe going up to heavyweight, Pereira rather.
Wasn't Dana not super stoked about that?
Yeah, because it's probably. I mean, it throws a wrench in everything.
I mean, on the heavyweight front, like, I mean, if he goes and fights Tom, I feel like not only does Tom have more than enough power to knock him out, but I actually think Tom might even have a speed advantage.
Yeah.
At least like straight punches, in out movement. I mean, I don't like that for Pereira, and it's like he kind of just got here light heavyweight not that long ago. So, but yeah, probably Ankalaev. Ankalaev's 2, Yuri's at 1, so probably Ankalaev.
Yeah, I could see them throwing Ankalaev, unless Yuri's just like throw me up there. I mean, Yuri had a great fight. Yuri could be coming back. I know Yuri said that he had some shit going on during his camp with Pereira, but you know how that goes. You hear a bunch of shit like that, so with excuses and stuff like that. And some are valid, but you still lost. It happens. Got to move on and get better and come back and see if you can do it again.
I think this is going to be like a Jiri situation where Jamal's next fight, he's going to look better, but he's also going to feel a lot better in there. And I think his next fight should be against Alexander Rakic. Jamahal Hill goes down 2 spots to 3. Rakic is 5. I mean, you got Jan in between them, but I think both Hill and Rakic are obviously going to have to take a little bit of time off.
Mm-hmm.
And Jan hasn't fought in 100 years, so he's probably going to be like ready to go before that.
Yeah.
So I think you go Rakic versus Jamahal Hill.
Yeah, that'd be a fun one, and I'm going with Rakic.
Yeah, me too, probably.
I'm just a fan of that guy, and I feel so bad for him coming back, but also that's part of the game. Come back and you got to fight killers.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I've said this before. I've always picked against Hill, and I don't feel like I have a great understanding of how good he is or isn't. So I would definitely be picking Rakic, but I wouldn't. I'm not going to be necessarily super confident. What I do know is that Rakic is the more well-rounded guy for sure.
Yes.
I mean, that's almost in my mind a fact. I feel like so. But
and they would both have, like you said, they both had the layoff, and then so it'd be like all right, let's see what we can do and get right.
Yeah, and I think the winner of that, although he'll just especially if Ankalaev wins, then the winner of that is pretty clearly next. If Rakic wins against Jamal and Pereira wins, then there's new matchup. So I like it. Go Rakic for president 2024.
That'd be fun.
But that is basically it for the rankings. Like I mentioned earlier, I mean, there was a couple of these weight classes, like specifically lightweight and bantamweight. Everyone basically moved. I mean, you got Dustin down a spot, Dariush up a spot, Chandler down a spot, Hooker down 2, Turner down 2, Saint Denis down 2. So a lot of movement. I think the guys, although they do these rankings every week after every card, I think they were like, okay, we're gonna just kind of half-ass a couple weeks here, and then at 300, we're gonna like really sit down and do this the right way. So
exactly.
You got any last thoughts on any of this stuff?
Oh man, it's a big shakeup, big card. UFC 300. That was fantastic card. Lived up to the hype, like I said. And it shook up the divisions, man. It had some high ramifications from these fights and moved people around. And I'm interested to see what the rest of the year holds. And we got some big title fights coming up. We've got some big names. I know Connor and Chandler were announced, so it's fun, man. The rest of the year is going to be fun. I can't wait. I just love the sport. I love the sport. I love everything about it, the ups and the downs, everything. And I can't wait to see what the rest of this year holds.
One last thing. I forgot to mention the men's pound for pound. Max up 6 spots to 8. Charles down 4 to 11. And then a couple guys just up or down 1. So other than that, that's all we got for you. If you want to keep watching stuff like this, hit like and subscribe on the video and the channel. And we'll
let
have
us know your thoughts on stuff.
Yeah. Let us know what you think. Tell us if you like playing matchmaker like I do. Tell us what you think's next for everybody in the comments. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Later.